This is the Times of India Health Plus podcast. It's where we explore specially curated conversations, wellness trends, and lifestyle tips from the TOI newsroom. Stay informed, stay healthy.
Welcome to another episode. I'm Sri Rupa Ray, your host for this podcast, and today we are going to talk about our second brain. Yes, you heard that right. We do have a second brain. It's our gut. Remember those butterflies in your stomach? We have all felt that at some point in our lives, right? That's your second brain telling you how nervous you are. Believe me, I'm serious. And to explain more about that gut feeling and how a healthy gut can keep both your body and mind on track, we have with us today Dr. Pratik Sharma, gastroenterologist and professor at the University of Kansas, United States. Dr. Sharma has been at the forefront of improving diagnosis and management for gastrointestinal diseases and cancer, and is also president of the American Society for Gastrointestinal Endoscopy. Welcome, Dr. Sharma. It's great to have you here with us today. Now, my gut feeling says we'll have a wonderful conversation. What about you?
Absolutely. Let's go for it.
But tell me, doctor, what is this gut feeling? Is it, really our gut telling us how to feel? I mean, how does that work?
So, no, thank you for that question. So, you're absolutely right. I mean, this gut feeling is true, and it's not just a slang which has come around for centuries. But the reason the gut and the feeling go together is because there really is a gut and brain interaction and conversation and talking. So, as you know, there are multiple nerves, hormones, we have the immune system. And then in the gut, we have these billions and trillions of microorganisms or microbes that we call them living in our intestines. And they're constantly talking. So that is very common, for example, when you're nervous, which means it's impacting your brain, or you're stressed out, you may feel that there are butterflies in your
Right.
stomach, or you feel that, oh, there's something going on. And
Yeah.
for many people, it is reflected, such as they may get abdominal cramps, they may get a little bit nauseated, the digestion may slow down. So, this is truly a real thing.
Right. So, doctor, around 95% of the body's serotonin, the happy hormone as we call it, is produced by gut bacteria, right? So, does that mean that the secret to your happiness is how well you feed your gut microbiome?
Yeah, I mean, of course, as you know, I'm biased towards the gut. And so it would be very nice if I said, yeah, that's absolutely true. But I will admit to your question that it is a great and a fascinating idea. But let's not oversimplify it. So you're absolutely right that a large amount of the body's serotonin, which, as you said, is a happy hormone, is produced and is associated with the gut. But remember that happiness is not just controlled by one thing. And so we cannot just say it's all related to the gut or to the intestine. Happiness, our mood swings, they're all, related to how well you sleep, how much stress you have, whether you're exercising or not. Have you had a good day or a bad day at work? What's your overall mental status like, as well as the brain chemistry. So yes, it could be doing that. So if I had to simplify it very much, I would say that if you have a healthy gut, it does not guarantee happiness. But if you have an unhealthy or an inflamed gut, it can certainly make you feel worse, and maybe you won't feel happy. So, if your digestion is not going the way it should be, if your sleep is poor, then it becomes harder to feel happy or to feel at your best mood, so as to say. So I would say also that the gut may be not the whole story, but it is definitely an important part of this happiness and mood story.
Right, right. So, scientifically speaking, what does a healthy gut actually look like under the microscope? Is it about diversity or stability, or is there something else?
Yeah, so well said, Sri Rupa. I think it's about all of the above. So also, it's not just, like one or two or three or 10 magical looking bacteria or the microbes which are going around, which is causing that. I mean, as I said, you have, billions of microbes or microbacteria in your intestine. And just like in life, I mean, the gut is no different. It's all about this balance. So, from a science perspective, when we are looking at it, we are actually, you're right, looking for all the three, which is diversity, stability, and, sort of like the resilience, meaning how strong they are. So, as you said about diversity, I mean, as the word implies, diversity means that you should have a whole wide ranging of different types of some helpful, some not so helpful microbes, right?
Right.
Stability means that it remains constant, right? I mean, just like we don't like chaos or instability in our lives, the gut doesn't like it either, right? It wants it to be stable ecosystem of the microbiome which is there. And of course, resilience or the strength means that, all of us will get sick at some point, right? For
Hmm.
whatever reason, whether if you're taking antibiotics, you're poor sleep, you're traveling too much, you had, bad gut bacteria infection or something like that. So the resilience part comes in that it's strong, it can bounce back, right? I mean, so your body can, similarly, the gut can bounce back and can do it that way. So in general, a healthy gut should be something in which you have these diversity, stability, resilient microbiomes, which then leads to a strong lining of the gut, low levels of inflammation and a very smooth function. So if I were to put it all together, I mean, I'd say that the gut should digest the food well, it should absorb it well. And if it does that, you don't, quote unquote, the gut shouldn't be complaining all the time and it should be very stable.
Okay, so doctor, suppose you're craving for a fizzy drink or that juicy burger, or you're binging on some leftover pastry at midnight. Are your gut bugs responsible for that? I mean, do they like also dictate your food cravings, or are they just reacting to signals from your head?
Yeah, so again, Shirupa, you're trying to blame the gut for everything, right? So that's we shouldn't make it the case. But what you raise is something which is an area of intense research in, the modern gut science as well as the gut brain axis and stuff like that. So cravings, is like, think about it as a cricket team, right? So it's a team effort, right? So not one single player like the bowler or the batsman or the wicket keeper is responsible, for these types of cravings. It's the entire team. So what does this team comprise of? So it's of course your brain, which is sending the signals, you yourself, meaning your habits. So if you train your mind, your gut, your body to, consume these fizzy drinks and these soda drinks every day, of course you will feel that craving, right? So your brain, your habits, again, your stress levels, your hormones, and yes, to a certain extent, the microbiome or the gut, I think, will be playing a role. So I wouldn't say that the bugs in your gut are secretly ordering, these fizzy drinks or the gulab jamun that you want, right? I mean, they're not ordering it, but it
Right.
is the influence of the environment in which these cravings happen. So if you feed your body the same thing over and over again, it's just like anything else. It's training. Your gut gets trained to it, the palate gets trained to it, so your tongue is trained to it, and so the microbiome may start shifting in that direction in which it probably wants some of that thing. So again, it's a whole team effort there.
Right, right. So then, is clean eating the only way to fix a sluggish gut, or do you think other mindful practices also help?
Yeah, so I think clean eating will definitely go a long way around, right? So I mean, it's absolutely important that we try to adhere to a quote unquote clean diet, and we'll talk about it, right? I mean, but on the flip side, just as we discussed before about happiness and the gut, the same thing about this. you can eat the perfect diet, like Sri Rupa, you look like a person who loves salads, right? So you can have the best salad in the world, but you may still tell me that, hey, my gut doesn't feel well. Well, but
Right.
if you didn't have a good night's sleep, if
Hmm.
you're rushing from one meeting to another, you're not sitting and eating a nice healthy slow meal, but you're rushing in between, right? You have a Zoom call today, and in half an hour you have another one, and you're saying, okay, I have 5 minutes between these calls, let me just gulp up my salad. That's not a good thing, so your gut will probably not feel good. And then during the meetings, and if you're living in constant stress, which is again a part of our daily lives, unfortunately, I think that will happen. Also, just like everything else, the gut also loves like rhythm, right? So if you like music, you know what rhythm is. Everybody likes rhythm or regularity, right? So that means not just eating healthy, but eating at regular times. So you can't have lunch at 1 p.m. today and 4 p.m. the next day, right? Also, I cannot stress about sleep, right? We always think about all the human body in different silos, but it doesn't work that way. So sleep is extremely important. The gut loves movement. And what does movement mean? Is like if just the two of us are having these calls all day long, that's not movement. Yes, it's good hand movement, but your body is not moving. So it likes exercise. Hydration is extremely important. And of course, being in a place, where you can have a little bit of some calmness and not stress throughout the day would be helpful. So, yes, absolutely. What you eat matters, but also how you eat it, how the rest of your life is going, I think is also mattering as well. So it's important to know that gut, because we think of gut, we think of food, so you think of the kitchen, right? I mean, so yes,
Right.
there is something to there, but think about it beyond the kitchen, beyond the cooking. It should be part of your daily routine.
Right. So, doctor, you were talking about stress, right? So, we've all heard that gastrointestinal diseases have a strong stress trigger, but which actually comes first? Is it like a chicken and egg question? If you're stressed, then you get gut issues, or if you have gut issues, then you get stressed. What is it?
Yeah, again, I mean, I think your analogy to the chicken and egg probably in this question is probably true. So, because both can feed off of each other, right? So, it's almost like a circular thing that you have stress, you get gut symptoms, the gut becomes worse, it triggers more stress, and so you get into this chakra view, so as to say, right? So
Right.
we all know that stress can trigger, and let me also like just specify is what some of these gut symptoms can be. Some people get bloating, they feel full even if they take a few bites of some meal, I mean sandwich, whatever it is. They can get this feeling of fullness and bloating. They can get some acidity and some reflux. For many patients, it can trigger their irritable bowel syndrome. Some can get abdominal pain, some can or get discomfort or need to rush to the bathroom. So these are all symptoms which can be triggered by stress. But at the same time, all these symptoms can make you worried, right? Because you're like, okay, why am I getting these cramps now all of a sudden? So that can lead to stress and, of course, anxiety. The symptoms, if you're getting a lot of bloating and fullness, you may not be able to lie flat when you try to go to sleep. So that will lead to poor sleep. And again, this worry in your mind is that, is there something bad going on with me or not? Or is it really just the stress causing it? Or do I have something else going on? So they can feed off of each other. So it's important to recognize that. So always think of your gut and your mind again as roommates or teammates, right? I mean, I try to go to this I love cricket, so I go to this team analogies that they are sharing the same environment, and they're not fighting against each other or playing against each other. So if one is suffering because it's part of the team or the roommate, the other usually knows it, and vice versa.
Right. Right. Also, doctor, India sort of has this peculiar problem of, popping OTC pills, these over-the-counter acidity pills, at the slightest pretext of this, the first signs of an acid reflux, and, pop goes the pill. So, as an authority on Barrett's esophagus, do you think this prolonged pill abuse can push us towards avoidable chronic disease or, even cancer? And if yes, then how to stop that?
Yeah, so first I would just emphasize that it's not a problem just in India.
Ah,
As I look at different parts of the continent and the world, I mean, it's an issue everywhere. So at least for this, we should not blame our population. So it's not
right,
just there; it happens pretty much globally that people do it. So, also to remove the myth that the acidity pills that you are saying, or which are these antacids, histamine blockers, proton pump inhibitors, all these medications, and again, there's a whole list of them that I think our audience probably knows. It's important to recognize that themselves they do not cause esophageal cancer or Barrett's esophagus or something bad. I mean, so I think we should dispel this myth. The only danger I see in this, in the self treatment sometimes, is whether proper evaluation has been done or not, right? So if somebody does have, some cancer type symptoms or an ulcer type symptoms or things like that, because of the self medication, are they not seeking appropriate medical care? I mean, that's my concern. It's not that these pills are going to cause the cancer in itself. So it's important to recognize what some of these symptoms may be, because all of us, you eat some spicy chicken or sambar or whatever it is, you may start getting some acidity and some reflux like symptoms and things like that. If it happens intermittently related to food, that all of us get it, right? And popping
right.
pills for that, I do it, right? I mean, you probably do it, Sri Rupa. So I don't think there's anything wrong in that.
Hmm.
But if these symptoms become persistent, so persistent acidity, if you have trouble swallowing, so if you feel that when you're swallowing stuff, food is getting stuck here, that's a bad thing. If you start losing weight, right, which you're not trying to lose weight, you have vomiting, bleeding, blood in your stools or throwing up blood, you know, and low blood counts or hemoglobin's low or anemia, then though just don't dismiss it as like, oh, I have like just some a bad gut infection or just acidity or stuff like that. So that's the situation where don't delay seeing a doctor because of that. So don't get false reassurance from your family members or your neighbor or somebody like that. So I would say that the real issue I feel is not the pill, it is ignoring some of these symptoms. So my message is very simple, is fear ignoring the warning signs and symptoms rather than the medication.
Right, right. Also, we have now realized the importance of protein in our diets, and especially for Indians who are chronically protein deficient. But as we're warming up to protein, we're also, warming up to fiber maxing. So, is fiber the gut's favorite food? And also, can it be too much of a good thing sometimes?
Yeah, so again, we should not have the gut have any best friends, right? I mean, it's, I would say definitely fiber is a friend, just as, you need, as you mentioned, enough proteins in your diet. But the fiber is definitely a very important friend because, yeah, in very simple terms, it will feed the beneficial microbes. It will help with regular bowel movements, right? So many people who are deficient on fiber, once they start taking enough fiber, they'll feel that they're going regularly, meaning their bowels are regular. It can also avoid overeating because it makes you feel full, rightfully so, and is overall good for the health of the gut. So it's one of the simplest things and less expensive that all of us can take in our diet, and the gut loves it. But again, the message, as you're hearing from me, is moderation and not overdoing anything, and having that regularity and that ecosystem there. So yes, too much fiber can be bad as well. So if you suddenly just start eating a lot of salads, raw food, seeds, and you start taking these supplements, which people love, right? I mean, I know you will say that in India people love supplements, but again, it's all over the world. People love supplements these days.
Yes.
And more importantly, without enough water. Water is also extremely important. Then people may start getting symptoms such as bloating, fullness. It can actually plug you up, for example. So don't overdo it. So fiber is wonderful, but again, just like everything else, try to make it part of your diet, not your entire diet.
Right, right. Also, doctor, and this I feel is very important for us, this question now, because the entire world is witnessing a GLP-1 boom, these weight loss drugs. So, how do these drugs alter the gut's ecosystem?
Yeah, good question. And again, I mean, we deal with this now very regularly. And so, first, the simple message should be that the GLPs do not fix your gut health. Okay. So, they are
Mhm.
not magically designed to fix the microbiome. What they are designed to do is, and what they should be used for, is they're designed to reduce your appetite. It slows the stomach emptying. It therefore leads to improvement in your blood sugar control and does lead to weight loss, right? So those are the things which they are actually meant to do. So indirectly, as we've been discussing so far, is that since the diet, the body weight change, and the gut environment, are all interrelated, the gut environment may change over time because of all these GLP medications. It's again one of those areas that we are actively researching, pursuing to see what happens. Okay. So, in the meantime, what I would say is that what all of us need to recognize is that these drugs are very important. They're very powerful medications, but they're not replacement for lifestyle changes, right? So if you're having gut issues, right? I mean, don't say, okay, let me start taking this medication and it will, help my gut. No, you have to still maintain your lifestyle changes that we have talked about, such as your diet, the fiber in the diet, the composition of your diet, exercise, body movement, again, going back to sleep, which will then lead to long term metabolic health.
Right. So, doctor, India, as you know, is famous for its fermented foods. And it's got a whole wide variety of it, whether it's, kanji from the north, or panta bhat from the east, or dokla and handvo in the west, or, you have your idli and dosa in the south. So we have such a rich treasure here. Do we really need packaged probiotics then?
Yeah, good question. And again, I mean, Sri Rupa, I don't know why you had to mention all those foods because now I'm craving for them. So, but absolutely. I mean, these traditional foods, and a lot of medicine in the past was based on some of these types of foods, right? Because they truly are quote unquote natural probiotics. So,
Right.
it should be part of our healthy diet. And the Indian food, as you mentioned, has a rich culture in all of them. So you're absolutely right, is that many of us, or majority of us, don't need these packaged probiotics. Now, you were talking about the misuse of, for example, the acidity pills. And sometimes I feel that also globally probiotics tend to be overused,
Mm-hmm.
as well, because when you tell someone that, okay, you eat some of these, a very simple thing is like the curd or the yogurt that we eat, right? I mean, so sometimes I'll have patients who need this reset of their microbiome, and I'll say, okay, maybe you should start eating yogurt, and they'll be looking at me like, well, I mean, why are you recommending that? That's not a medicine. So sometimes there's this placebo effect also. I feel that
Hmm.
people would feel much better going to a shop and buying that probiotic or a capsule or some whatever sachet that they get. I mean, so I'm not saying that there is no role for probiotics, but I think for a healthy diet, if you include some of these foods that you just mentioned, I think for an average person, I would say that that diet matters much more. A variety of this diet, a varied food, enough fiber, less ultra processed food, some of these fermented foods. So, remember that the Indian kitchen is probably, sometimes more powerful than some of these medications that you can take over the counter.
Yes, yes. So, speaking of things that come in a packet, doctor, I mean, we are really obsessed here with ultra processed food, and just like the West, of course. And so, I was just reading this research by this data analytics firm, Euromonitor, I think. Yes. It says that India's UPF market is projected to rise around 4 lakh crore rupees. But we're always making an excuse. It's like we're saying, oh, it's just one occasional binge, or it's, one for the movie night, or that was just someone's birthday, so it was a birthday treat. But with so much junk in our guts, when does it start complaining, and how do we actually spot the signs?
Yeah, again, I mean, good question. I mean, I think the signs, as you mentioned, is so like with everything else, your gut is part of your body, so it will definitely complain, right? And like a good neighbor or a good part of your body, it will initially be very quiet in its so-called complaints, right? So
Right.
the initial symptoms you may feel would maybe very minor, such as, oh, I'm getting some gas after doing this, maybe I will walk it off. You'll say, okay,
Ah.
maybe I'm not doing enough exercise, that's why I'm getting the gas, which may be
Hmm.
true, right? But those are some symptoms. A little bit of fullness after the meals, feeling heaviness, right? I mean, that if you do that, your bowel habits may become irregular, and you may start blaming that, oh, I have too much stress in my life and that's why it's happening, and which may also be true, right? So it's again the whole ecosystem which is there. But these ultra processed fruits may be part of that trigger. So we don't want to blame, the pizza that we just had or that the burger that you just had because you loved it so much, right? So things that you like, you tend not to blame that for anything. But
Right.
over time, when the use of such ultra processed food becomes routine, then this effect may become more significant. And now your gut is not complaining a little, but a lot. So,
Hmm.
how will that be reflected? Gaining weight, poor sugar control. Your sugar levels may go up and down. The inflammation and the metabolic troubles may start creeping in gradually over this as it happens over a prolonged time period. So, one bad burger or, just sugar laden birthday cake or something like that, as you mentioned, is not a problem. But what happens is, just as you said, the cravings creep in. And when that occasional starts becoming more regular, what happens is your gut has no longer that time to recover in between these attacks of these ultra processed foods, right? So the gut is forgiving, just like every part of our body is. It's like overusing your shoulder and abusing your shoulder. Over time, yes, you will develop problems and arthritis from it. So similarly, think of gut as an organ. It's initially forgiving, but at some time its patience will run out.
Right. Right. So, doctor, you were talking about, us rushing through life. And, we're all chasing our deadlines. We are rushing through our meals. We are skipping our macros and exercise. And also, we are trading our sleep for devices. How to keep a healthy plate for the gut while juggling a hectic lifestyle? Because we know, I mean, doctor, we are trapped in this hectic lifestyle. How do we balance it?
Yeah, again, I mean, I wish I had one simple answer for you, right? I mean, so that would be the end to everyone's issues. So, I mean, I think my message, and this is what I practice as well. So it's not something that I'm saying because, many times you hear answers which demand perfection, right? And we know that none of us are perfect. So what I would say is don't rush after perfection because I don't think that's what's possible even, but try to go after consistency and good organization. That's what I would say, right? So if you're consistent when and simple, I think that is what will help your hectic lifestyle, your stress in your life, and to maintain a very healthy gut. So go for, simple things. And that's what I practice. So it's not something that I'm trying to tell everyone here today and going back and not doing that. So aim for something which is very simple and consistent. So if you're eating at certain specific times, and that time may vary for everyone, right? So somebody has lunch at noon, somebody at 1 o'clock, somebody at 2 o'clock. Doesn't matter what that time is, but be consistent. Your body likes consistency. Also, be simple in your diet that you're doing, right? Choose some simple sources of proteins, fibers, etc., whatever it is. Don't try to trick your body or your gut
Mhm.
specifically, that one day you're getting protein from like one source of a supplement that you're doing, the next day it's from meat, the third day it's from something else, or things like that. Just choose something simple. The same thing for the fiber. You necessarily don't have to eat 10 different types of vegetables or salads. I mean, keep it simple. Regular, slow, as I mentioned, is if you can take out, as you mentioned, going to the movies. If you can watch one of those long movies for 3 hours, you can take out 20 minutes to just relax and eat your meal slowly. Why not do it? Also, all of us are busy. So what I also do is I carry some healthy snacks with me, because I know that sometimes if I'm traveling somewhere or if I'm running late with a patient, I may not get that. So rather than at that point going to that ultra processed food, keep a healthy snack and try to take that healthy snack with you at that time. Also, I keep getting back to sleep. A tired brain will make bad decisions for you. So if your lack of sleep, you're like have not eaten because of irregularity and non-consistency, you'll pick the first food you see. It could be chips, it could be fries, whatever it is, right? Because you're just craving at that time for any kind of food.
Right,
And
right.
whenever you're craving and your brain's not functioning well, you'll make that bad decision. So yes, our lifestyles are rushed. I have no secret answer to that. But your gut likes simplicity and basics. Simple food, regular routines, less chaos. If you do that simply, you'll be better.
Right. So before we wrap up, doctor, two rapid fire questions for you. First one, what's the one gut myth, circulating on social media that you feel you absolutely need to bust?
Yeah, well, I mean, I'm not on social media, so I can't comment on that. But from my
Lucky you.
readings, yeah, yeah. So, but just from my readings, and I would say more from like lay people coming and asking me these questions. I mean, what I see which bothers me is that everyone who gets a little bit of bloating or constipation or something like that automatically assumes that their gut is damaged or inflamed, right? And they'll go running and say that, oh, I need a detox. And that detox could be like popping in supplements or getting some enemas or gut cleansing or things like that. And I would say, you don't need that. I mean, again, go back to the basics, go back to simple food choices, sleep, stress, etc. That is what you need.
Right. And the last one, what is that one non food habit or ritual that has a direct positive effect on your gut and your digestion?
Yeah, I mean, I think, again, to keep it simple, I would recommend, again, that what we probably should have learned from our parents, our grandparents, everybody, as you know, is movement. So I would say that one simple thing, if you had to do, is regular meals and then walking after meals, right? I mean, we all remember that, our parents or grandparents taking that walk after dinner, right? Whereas nowadays, you eat late and you're so tired, you go to bed directly. So even a short walk after you eat can help your digestion. It supports the movement or the gut motility. It will reduce that feeling of bloating, that heaviness that you feel after that. So eat regularly and then move a little, and your gut will love you for it.
Thank you so much, Doctor. Thank you so much for that insightful conversation.
Thank you.
Don't tune out yet. It's time for the nutrition power tip of the week from nutritionist Sangeeta Aiyar.
Do pay attention to fiber intake. For adults, the target is roughly 25 to 35 grams of fiber per day. Adequate fiber intake is extremely important for bowel regularity, stable blood sugar levels, cholesterol management, and supporting a healthy gut microbiome.
Thanks for tuning in to the Times of India Health Plus podcast. You can catch us on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, YouTube, or the TOI app. And if you have a health topic you'd like us to discuss, write to us at toihealth.plus@timesofindia.com. Stay healthy and see you next time.